I was going to talk about something else, but I'm going to save that to tomorrow. I'm going to save it for tomorrow, and I'm going to pivot, right? Because I want to go into this video really quickly, and it's something that I prefer to talk about considering everything that we're talking about on the show today instead of what I was going to talk about, and I'm not even going to tell y'all what I was going to talk about because we're going to save that for tomorrow. But the last thing that I want to talk about it's a video that I think is compelling from Cash Jordan. Now, I like to watch Cash Jordan. I think that he's a great content creator. And he has a video, and it's called It Begins, NYC Starts Arresting Migrant Gangs. It says NYC Starts Arresting Migrant Gangs. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Operating in New York City, and police say there could be hundreds of criminals out there and they have no way of stopping them all.
They walked across the border for a better life, but now they are walking out in handcuffs after police say their American dream was to commit crime.
Police say a gang terrorized New Yorkers, robbing them and then hacking their phones to drain bank accounts of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Surveillance video shows the moment two masked men broke into the back of a Bronx bodega, walked up to the register, and made off with $100,000 cash.
I think all the crime is getting worse right now. I mean, especially with the bikes and the mopeds and the scooters, everyone's riding around.
Police say this is one part of one migrant gang, and there are others.
I'm not really a fan of all of the music.
And it's gang related. Now, although some of the gangs are made up apparently of asylum seekers, what nobody's talking about is there's other high profile gang related activity being orchestrated by gangs of New Yorkers as well. We're talking everything from cell phone theft to pickpocketing. A crime spree involving bodegas has seen certain businesses lifted for over $100,000. And the next time you're out at a bar and someone attractive approaches you and talks to you, they could be targeting you for some crimes that are...
Wait. You're telling me that people are basically approaching you like they over in Medellin, Colombia, and they're basically finessing these dudes and somebody attractive? Come on, man. Hold on. I've been warning y'all already about this. I told you. I warned you. I said, listen, the best way to get somebody set up, is to do what? It's through a woman. And so now they're leveraging their women and they saying, listen, fam, listen. If a fine woman approach you inside of a bar, be careful because it's a possibility that they could be setting you up to get you robbed out here in these streets. Oh my God. Yeah, the woman in the red dress. Just like the Matrix. Come on, man. I didn't know that they was doing this over in New York.
They're so heinous, it makes me think it's probably not even safe to go out at night here. On top of that, some of the asylum seekers who've been caught up in this may have been exploited by gang leaders the police are now looking for. But before we get into why this is happening and how much damage is being done to the city, it's important to understand that many of the criminals who have been caught have already been controversially released without bail. So they're still out there somewhere for some reason. But what's alarming is that when last year ended, overall levels of crime in the city were down. There was a 12% decrease in extremely violent types of crime, but the reduced crime trend has reversed. And what most people don't know is that since 2019, overall crime in the city is up 32%, which means 1 out of every 3 New Yorkers are now more likely to be involved in some sort of incident. And the types of incidents happening now are unlike anything I've ever seen. So this right here might look like your typical New York City apartment building, but inside buildings just like this, there are gangs operating and using them as hideouts. Inside, you'll find illegal apartments full of the tools needed to commit modern crime. Stuff for hacking, stealing identity, reprogramming phones. And authorities think there could be hundreds of these gang operations hidden throughout the city that they haven't even discovered yet. But the mayor has made it clear that the gang activity we're talking about does not represent the majority of asylum seekers, many of whom have come here seeking a better life without the intent to commit crime.
How did these migrants end up on the wrong side of the law? Police.
This is insane. I don't even know where I'm living at anymore. I don't know if this is the United States of America or what. If you are in New York and you see this happening in your city, Tell me that you're not concerned. Tell me that you're just looking at this and you said, oh, well, the majority of migrants is here. They're just over here to go make sure that they create a better life. They have literally created crime syndicates. Somehow, some way, they are occupying buildings. How did you even find these buildings to occupy in the first place? They got hacker tools, they got computers, they got mopeds, they got funding. They didn't already put themselves in a position of power. And you telling me that they just did this out of the blue, out of a hotel room? So they hopped off a bus, they went over to New York, they put together a crime syndicate, and now they over here running it up, and don't nobody even know where they at. How is this possible in the United States of America? Let me tell you something. If I miss a line item on my taxes, they be like, Anton, we got to make sure that we get every dime that you owed, and we want to make sure that we hit you with an interest penalty. Every other month, they be trying to figure out where I live. Now I got everything in a trust. I done had to take all kind of precautions in order to put stuff in trusts so people don't know where my daughter go to school. People still trying to figure out where my corporate gig is and stuff like that. And you telling me that these people could just walk on over here and get them an address, get them some IDs, get them some mopeds, some computers, some phones, hack, and do every single thing that they wanted to do, and we don't even know where they at? Is that what you're telling me? So if I go over there and I knock your head off, you're going to be triangulating my position based off of where my cell phone is to know if I was in the area in order to have this conversation. But Fonnie Willis can bust it down for a real one and then allegedly pay all of these tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars back to him in cash. And y'all don't know how to find where these migrants are in New York City that's over here cracking people over the head.
Say it did not happen overnight and that they are organized criminals. Police say a ringleader of the group has been recruiting migrants who recently arrived in the city to do his dirty work. He even had a so-called inside man.
What a crazy operation. There's all these people involved, there's a ringleader, and apparently he was able to lure asylum seekers into his operation. And what's crazy is they even had their own IT person inside the apartment helping them break into all the stolen phones. And the police raid was pretty intense. They showed up pre-dawn, tons of people, body armor, equipment. There were a lot of guys.
Phil says they trying to keep me out of the algorithm. Well, guess what, Phil? That's why we got to share this with our family and friends, because we going to do this. We going to bootstrap this up. See, everything that we got over here at the Millionaire Morning Show is all bootstrap, baby. I got the heart of the people. We don't need the algorithm. We need the people. And so the more that y'all hit a like for the algorithm, the more that y'all subscribe and turn on your notifications, the more that you tapped into the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat, the more that you send this to at least 5 friends. If you can't find 5, get 3. If 3 people don't like you, get 2. If you don't like me, then send it to the one person that you don't like in order for them to be pissed at me. We bootstrapping this up. We not waiting for nobody to give us our props. We coming to get our $30 million.
And they went into that place when everybody was asleep and arrested them.
Police say a gang terrorized New Yorkers. Here, a thief on a moped steals a purse, but most importantly, a phone. The phone is then hacked to drain the person's bank accounts. This one pattern has nearly 150 victims.
So apparently, these folks were part of a moped-related crime spree. That's how they would get the valuables and the phones. They'd ride up on one of these illegal mopeds that the police have since confiscated, and there would be 2 riders. There's the driver, and then there's the snatcher, and the snatcher would grab whatever they were trying to steal, and the driver would worry about driving away. It's very scary, and especially a lot of these are electric, and if they're electric, they're not going to make any noise when they approach you on the street. So if you have AirPods or some sort of headphone in, you're not going to have any indication that they're coming until it's too late. Apparently, one person was seriously injured when their purse was grabbed, and the riders attempted to flee the scene while they were still hanging on. And the scariest thing about all this is if somebody steals your purse or your wallet or even your phone, that's your whole life. You got your bank account in there, you got all this stuff that in the name of convenience is on one device, but if people take that one device, everything's here. It's really sad. But it wasn't the ringleader who was out riding around on one of these mopeds.
Believe it or not, that he has his own IT guy in there, apparently, breaking into
That's
the phone.
crazy,
Police
bro.
arriving to this apartment building where the suspects allegedly rent rooms inside an apartment. Once police hit the apartment door, they say the
So it seems like the leader of this whole operation ended up recruiting people who otherwise would have been living in the city's shelters. That's terrible. But before we continue uncovering what these guys were up to and how many of their counterparts are still out there, in a sense, the leader of this thing was looking for people to exploit. Over 170,000 asylum seekers have come to New York City, and he was able to find vulnerable individuals in that population. Doesn't mean they're innocent, but it does mean he was offering them something very enticing. But one
And it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I had a guy, his name was Fearless. Shout out to Fearless. And he challenged me this weekend on After Hours, and he said, Anton, vigilante justice is horrible. Let me ask y'all a question. I'm not even going to give my opinion on that. Let me ask y'all a question. What would you guys suggest that we do? How do you guys think that we should handle this? Should we continue to protest? Should we continue to go after the people and have a conversation about what it is that we're supposed to be doing inside of the United States of America? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just asking a question. How do you guys think that we should handle this?
One of the problems with this is police and the government here don't have a whole lot of warning of who these folks might be in advance of them committing a crime.
They're essentially ghost criminals. No criminal history, no photos, no cell phone, no social media. Sometimes we're even unclear on a name or a date of birth.
So apparently with local criminals, police can learn a lot about them based on where they might have grown up, what their online activity is like, where they went to school. Most Americans are already in the system to an extent, but somebody who just got here and has limited paperwork to begin with, maybe they're not. And since New York is a sanctuary city, they don't cooperate with the federal government, which, as we'll soon find out, could be limiting the amount of information the police have to make these arrests and find out who the bad guys are in the first place. But shockingly, a number of suspects who were arrested are also released without bail. And the reason police are searching for the ringleader is because he was arrested previously on a grand larceny charge, but also released without bail. And he wasn't apprehended in this police raid, and he's still out there on the loose. It's great that we're catching the bad guys, but if we just then turn around and release them and they go back to doing what they were doing, the city's not exactly any safer, and critics...
And it's unfortunate because this is the stuff that y'all voted for. See, what's good for the goose is going to be good for the gander, and this is the thing that y'all voted for. Y'all advocated for this. This is what you wanted. You said, listen, I want to be in a position to where, you know, the people that do crimes are not held accountable, and because they're not held accountable, the same thing applies across the board, even to people that are here illegally. And they got a better chance than you do because at least you got some kind of footprint inside of the system. They ain't got no footprint inside of the system, so they can just do whatever it is they want to do. They could just do whatever it is that they want to do. They're not going to be held accountable in a way that you're held accountable because they don't even have no history. Yo, they ain't nothing but modern women. They taking modern women to the next level. You know, if a woman that slutted it out or she didn't have, you know, everybody in the streets in her particular city that had their way with her, and then now all of a sudden she moves over into a different area. She go across the, you know, over to the West Coast because she from Chicago and she out here in these streets in California. Now all of a sudden she reinvented herself. They did the same thing, except they did it from wherever it is that they came from. And then they came over to the United States of America in order to make a better life. What, you think that these people just came up with crime and hacking and all of this stuff on their own? You didn't think that this was already in their back pocket? You didn't think that this was in their repertoire of what they need to do in order to survive? Y'all call it survival? These large gatherings? Well, I tell you what, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Mark my words. If y'all are not girded up, if y'all not focused, if y'all not on top of things, if y'all not really paying attention to what's happening inside of your cities, if you're not making informed decisions that's best for your family instead of based off of your emotions, Keith, then you're the one that's going to suffer from it. And you paying them to protect you, and they're not even doing it because it's coming out of your tax dollars.